Hello, my name is David Küpper. I'm the Managing Director of Expert Powerhouse, Europe's fastest growing consulting network. At Expert Powerhouse, we are helping teams all over the world with on-demand consultants, and we are serving more than 300 leading companies in consulting and industry with freelance talent. I'm happy to start the 12th episode of our EPH Talk. As we have quite a number of participants, I'd like to ask you all to please share where you're joining from. It's always nice to know where people are coming from, and I know we have quite a global audience today. So please put a little comment in the field and tell us where you're joining from today, and we will get to know a little bit at least where you're coming from today. Also, I'd like to invite you to follow our Expert Powerhouse LinkedIn page. It's super easy. Simply click the bell on the top right and get notified first about new content from Expert Powerhouse and future LinkedIn Lives. In today's episode, we will discuss a transformative topic that holds the potential to shape the future of our planet: intelligent decarbonization. We will discuss how AI can support us in the future on this journey. As the world faces the ever-escalating challenges of climate change, it is imperative that we find innovative solutions to combat carbon emissions and safeguard our environment for generations to come. Intelligent decarbonization is more than just a buzzword. It represents really a paradigm shift in our approach to addressing the climate crisis. It is about using advanced technologies and data-driven insights to revolutionize the way we produce and consume energy, reducing our reliance on carbon-intensive practices and transitioning towards a cleaner, more sustainable future. At the heart of this transformative movement lies the power of AI. So, how will AI help us in this quest for intelligent decarbonization? Without further preface, I am very excited to welcome today Dr. Oliver Inderwildi.
Hi, David. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Talk. Let me just briefly introduce you. Oliver is a senior fellow at the Cambridge Center for Advanced Research and Education in Singapore. CARES is the University of Cambridge's first overseas research center based in Singapore and brings together researchers from around the world to work on new scientific advances and technologies that will benefit Singapore and the international community. Oliver is also the editor and co-author of the timely compendium by Cambridge CARES and Springer Nature publishing house called Intelligent Decarbonization. Can artificial intelligence and cyber-physical systems help achieve climate mitigation targets? This book is the first to explore the potential impact of advanced digital technologies and AI on emission reduction and climate change. In this book, experts discuss how AI reduces emissions in all relevant sectors, such as water and energy supply, logistics and mobility, agriculture and urban environments. So, Oliver, let's just directly dive into it. How can AI assist us in the future in our path to decarbonization?
Well, through the expert contributions to our book, we could clearly work out is that AI is and will be a critical tool to drive down the use of fossil fuel resources and consequently costs and emissions. So we could also establish that there are two main routes through which AI will deliver and delivers benefits. So firstly, through the optimization of current systems. Think of smart grids, think of Industry 4.0, or think of digital supply chains. All these systems are optimized as we speak using artificial intelligence. As the systems become more efficient, they will reduce the use of fossil fuels and consequently costs and emissions. Secondly, and this is also a very important point, AI is a great planning and decision support tool. Think that, for example, before you build complex infrastructure, such as an industrial facility or a logistics hub, you could ask AI to come up with different possible scenarios and their pros and cons. Such an intelligent design approach can avoid lock-in situations and aid the design of more efficient systems. So here, we're not optimizing currently existing systems, but we are making systems of the future better. So all that I've just mentioned is already being applied and it delivers benefits. In my opinion, however, the benefits will increase because we are only in the very early stages of AI developments. The real AI revolution is still to come.
And will AI really help achieve the targets set out by many countries and also in the Paris Accord?
Well, just mentioned that our assessment shows that AI will be a critical tool for the optimization and also the planning of relevant systems. Still, AI is not a silver bullet. We will still need a very significant systemic transformation. This transformation will require large-scale investment in, for instance, electricity generation, supply, water provision, or transport, and many other sectors. So AI will, however, assist us with the planning of this transformation, and this enhanced planning will save money and reduce emissions. But AI is a means to an end and not the end for delivering the Paris targets. Just think that AI is one more tool in the toolbox, although a very powerful tool.
I'm a big supporter of AI and new technologies, but I can imagine that people would argue, wait a minute, AI uses significant amounts of energy itself. Is that factored in your analysis?
Well, absolutely, and it's a really good question because we should think about these things. In our book, we have extensively looked at and analyzed cost benefit of these technologies, not only the financial cost benefit, but also the environmental cost benefit. And I'm really happy to say that the cost benefit is essentially always positive. That is, the benefits outweigh the costs. Let me give you a quick example. The electricity used for service, optimizing a smart grid, is much less than the electricity saved from the smart grid. So, and as long as this cost benefit is positive, all is good. And there is another effect, and I think it's a very important effect, and you can see this on a visualization. Here I've used solar PVC as an example. AI creates virtuous circles. On the left-hand side, you see such a virtuous circle for solar PVC. In blue on the left-hand side, the production, in green, the utilization. Let's start in the bottom left corner. So an Industry 4.0 approach has increased the energy efficiency of solar PVC production. So that means less embedded carbon. It also has minimized the resource use that we have for the production of these. And all these results in reduced embedded carbon. At the same time, Industry 4.0 approach could increase the PVC efficiency. So once the PVCs go out, they not only have a higher efficiency, but lower embedded carbon, so a lower carbon footprint. This has the effect that as soon as they are being, please back to the slide, one more, not just, thank you. This has the effect that the electricity we generate with these solar PVCs is lower. And obviously for Industry 4.0, electricity is a key input factor.
Do I see that correctly, that if you go back to the slide, I think we need to have more time here, that the technological developments, looking at the cost on your right side of the graph, have been much faster, lowering the cost much faster than initially in 2010 expected and forecasted.
Much faster, indeed.
And that they are now even below the fossil fuel range. Is that, do I see that correct?
That's correct. It's at the moment solar PVC. If you invested a few years back on a solar PVC installation on your roof, you have made a good profit. It was a very good investment for you. In the end, here you can see the evolution in green of the levelized cost of electricity in dollars per kilowatt hour, and it indeed dropped below the fossil fuel range, and it's much below the forecast of the IEA. So why was the IEA so out with their forecast? We believe it's actually the virtuous circle on the other hand, because the IEA in the end expected linear improvements in technology, and we have seen almost exponential improvements in technology, and this has led to an exponential decrease in the levelized cost of electricity. And looking at this slide, this makes me very, very optimistic that we can actually achieve the race to zero, that we can get to net zero emissions.
It truly underlines the use of technology and how much it can support on the process. And indeed, the great thing you can see is if the costs have come down so much, and if it's now having an economic also benefit of using these kind of PV in this case over like fossil fuel generated electricity, then we don't even need further subsidies, because then there's just an economic benefit of doing it, which will of course also accelerate the use of these technologies significantly, I would guess.
Absolutely.
That's great to see. That's really great to see. Now, taking all these benefits, what are the risks of using AI for decarbonization specifically?
Oh, there are quite significant risks about this. Just think that in the end, we are giving away the power over critical supplies such as water, electricity, to machines. Yeah, this is a very important topic, and here we have to think about smart controls, about possible interventions, so that a human in the end makes the final decision on what's best or not. Problem here is that obviously AI is a computer program still. It doesn't have any moral compass or anything. So we still need human decision makers on the line to make the decision. Well, secondly, I would say it's the failure of electronic systems. Yeah? What do we do if electronic systems fail? Do we need redundancy everywhere? What are the cascading effects, of a shortfall in electricity supply, etc. All these things we have to think through very carefully, and we have to plan them. But businesses and governments as well are very well aware of this, and they're working on this as we speak. Thirdly, it's vulnerability. Yeah. So cybercrime and terrorism are really on the rise. They are proper threats to our world. And the more vital supplies we are managing from the cyberspace, the more vulnerable we are. Yeah? Cybersecurity is already a big topic, and I think it will be a more important topic in the future. We'll need many safeguards and best practices. So, but in short, I can say that there are risks, but these can be managed and mitigated. Yeah, we just have to carefully plan.
Are there any unintended consequences that you see?
Well, we know about many things that could go wrong with artificial intelligence. From biases to data privacy to cybersecurity, etc., etc. But I'm absolutely convinced that there are issues that we do not foresee at the moment. Yeah, so the unknowns that we can't even guess right now. With many systemic transformations, we have seen that these issues come up. What I think here is very clearly that we should be screening for unintended consequences constantly, yeah, and then adapt. So essentially, we need a continuous process. We have to monitor what's happening. Is AI doing something that we don't want, that is detrimental to humans? And then we have to adapt the guidelines and safeguards for artificial intelligence. You can think along the lines of the Asimov principles for robotics. Yeah, we need something like this for AI as well. Then still, I think if we really do that, if we think through management and governance of these systems, then we can really keep this in check and reap the benefits of artificial intelligence fully.
Ollie, can you give some, because we were now discussing about AI, but it's of course also not very tangible. Can you give some specific examples where AI can help on our way to net zero economy. I could imagine AI, for example, to manage energy storage systems, even in regions with extreme temperatures. But there are probably other examples also, other specific examples that come to mind.
There are many examples, but I think the storage is already a very good one. A reason for that is if we really want to achieve the transition to net zero emissions and we'll get more and more renewables online, we also need very large scale and very efficient storage capacities. Otherwise, we won't get it done with the intermittent, the fluctuating renewable energies. Let's take battery storage as an example. There are 3 areas where I can see that AI will really add to this. So first, it's the prediction of temperature fluctuations, and you've just spoken about weather extremes. I want to charge my battery when it's cold, and then I want to discharge it when it's hot. AI can help a lot with doing this in an automatic process. That would be one. Second is monitoring. Let's say you have battery storage in an area where it's very hot. Yeah, these things can overheat, and that can impair the security of the system. So you can monitor it and ask AI to release a certain battery once it's getting too hot. And then thirdly, the optimization and efficiency. We've just spoken about smart grid. We need smart management systems for storage, and these have to be connected to smart grid optimization algorithm, so that essentially we can align and match supply and demand on electricity. And what I've now just spoken about, it's not just theory. This is, for instance, applied in Australia already, where they have battery storage in the desert, where the fluctuation of temperatures are very extreme. But it's the same there. You charge during the night when it's actually quite cold in the desert, and you decharge during the day when it's getting hot.
I believe that you also need specific data for it, like weather data in that example. For AI models to also actually being able to do their work, and to use them for intelligent decarbonization. How does that accurate weather forecasting improve energy optimization?
Yeah, absolutely. This is also something that happens as we speak, because these meteorological models are also fitted with AI. And as I said, it's the early stages of AI, so we'll get a lot better. It is indeed important for renewable energy to have this, just as it is for electricity storage. Again, obviously, solar and wind power are fluctuating, they're intermittent. For me, it would be good to know, am I producing lots of wind and solar energy? Does my storage have to be empty? All these things. And in the end, you have to align these weather forecasts with the electricity supply forecast. Is it windy? Is it sunny? And then you have to align this with storage models. Yeah, we are not there yet. Yeah, AI is just creeping into weather forecasts, into supply forecasts, and into storage forecasts, but it will grow. And then obviously we have to interconnect the different models to get very intelligent forecasts and drive the transition to net zero forward.
And just mentioning it, what needs to be done to make more use of AI and to help us really achieve decarbonization targets? What do you think?
Well, we'll see this. Actually, we could look at slide number 2 already. I've planned it for a bit later, but it would be good now. Just look at this. This is the private sector AI investments in billion US dollars, and you can see between 2013 and 2021 we almost had an exponential increase. Yeah. And then in 22 we had a bit of a tech crunch, also due to the conflict in Eastern Europe, but will be beating this. You can see that from this, you can see that businesses really realize that this will add to the bottom line. And probably not only that, it might not make them competitive if they don't use these technologies. So very heavily investing in the technology, and this will drive it. And we've just spoken about optimizing systems. AI can also help us to create a sustainable business model. Again, using a scenario approach, for instance, and you could give the AI a task to achieve certain ESG metrics and produce different business models that would actually achieve such a metric. Yeah. So this is where AI will also have an impact on the non-technical side of businesses, yeah, where it's going to be creative.
That requires, I would believe, also that the future workforce is kind of prepared for this accordingly. So, as you're also having the academic background, how can educational systems prepare for that and prepare the future workforce for this scenario of AI being used to really give the decarbonization a push?
Yeah. We're arguing for a long time that, computer literacy, and I'm not talking about coding, I'm really talking about utilizing electronic means, should enter the curriculum as soon as possible. Yeah. But you can already see that toddlers are better knowing their way around your iPad than you are yourself. So there will be some push for this in general. But yeah, I think we should start with computer literacy and computer coding skills very early in the education, as early as possible. The reason for this is really that AI will eradicate many professions. Yeah, just think about call center agents, for instance. They are now replaced by chatbots. You think about language models that make the interpreter unemployed. So yes, we have to definitely drive computer literacy and coding skills in school, so that we don't have a mismatch in the labor market later on.
And let me also circle back a bit. I know you've addressed it slightly also with your second slide already.
Mm-hmm.
How will this all affect economy and labor markets?
And there will be a very significant impact on the economy and on labor markets. With the economy, I think it will add greatly to the economy. So we'll be creating more value when we're applying AI in a smart way. This is absolutely clear for me. With the labor markets, it's different. We'll see a very significant restructuring of the job markets. I give you an estimate from the investment bank Goldman Sachs. In the US and Europe, they assume that about 2/3 of jobs are exposed to AI automation. Yeah? And that will be a critical thing that we have to think about and talk about. There will also be a skills mismatch. And again, what I just mentioned, computer literacy, will be key to an individual's success in the labor markets. And again, I'm not talking just about coding. I'm talking about being an intelligent user of systems. Let me think of an example. Well, let's say 3D printing. Up to now, a mechanic would do something in the workshop, produce a small piece that goes into a machine. Yeah. But these dexterity may not be useful anymore now that 3D printers are taking over. So the mechanic doesn't have to do anything really with his hands anymore, but he has to give a 3D printer the right commands to produce the piece of work that he needs for the machine. So you see, that's really a shift in utilization. So probably he still needs the experience of having done this by his hand, but key to his job will be to give a computer the right commands to get the right piece done. coming back to the overall economic impact, well, I could give you estimates, but I'm looking at the estimates and they're about being revised every 3 months, and they're being revised upwards. So
yeah, of course, the development is overwhelming.
I'm not going to give you a number here too. Now, it will be critical, however, that the economic growth that we are getting out of it will go forward in a sustainable way. Yeah, so that we're not causing more havoc on planet Earth, but channeling our efforts, our value creation into something more sustainable. And as I said, AI will also be very critical for the development of sustainable business models.
It sounds really that the AI revolution is a bit like the industrial revolution. Would you agree to that?
Definitely, I agree to that, first and foremost, but I would guess that it's even going beyond what we've seen in the industrial revolution. I think we'll have an even greater job destruction than we had during the industrial revolution. And obviously, this will have many serious consequences for society. So, again, giving you an example, the IMF's Gita Gopinath said that it was a huge mistake by economists during the Industrial Revolution to assume that the destructive jobs will be replaced by new jobs. Yeah, and we definitely have to be cleverer this time around and see how we can, also manage the societal transformation that the AI revolution, in my opinion, will certainly bring. We've just spoken about professions that are going out of business, interpretation, data entry, call center agents, and the list goes on and on. If you use ChatGPT and Bard, they're meanwhile very good at writing things, so that might put me out of a job soon as well. Yeah, because AI is actually a better writer than I am. How can we go about this? Well, it's definitely it's retraining the workforce. Yeah, this is also happening at the moment. We might need another push so that we really make job market participants ready for the future. The other thing is, and that's all not nice, I think universal basic income will also be necessary. Yeah, we might kick some people out of the workforce because their jobs are being replaced by a drone or something. Yeah, so that's something that we have to think about. It's not nice, I know, but we have to have a solution in place before the revolution comes.
And what are the geopolitical implications in the fast advance in AI?
Geopolitical implications for me are very clear. There is an AI race going on at the moment, mainly between China and the US. And I personally think that the country who wins the AI race will be economically and politically dominant. Yeah. Once you have the AI thing figured out, you're really up with the control problem, but it will enormously add to your power. Also, if you look at the military side, look at the conflict in Eastern Europe at the moment. Yeah, you have Russia with lots of manpower and lots of material, and they're really struggling against a much smaller Ukrainian force because they have high-end intelligent weapons from the West, and they can actually really very clearly defend themselves. And so also on the battlefield, so militarily and strategically, AI will be an absolute game changer. If you are in charge of the best AI in the world, you're absolutely dominating. Talking about the military, I would really recommend for everyone to watch the Netflix documentary Unknown Killer Robots, where they actually give you a glimpse of what's working at the moment and what will be working soon in artificial intelligence in warfare. So for me, the geopolitical implications are clear. The country who wins the AI race is the next hegemon, without doubt.
Yeah, very, very interesting. We diverted a little from intelligent decarbonization, but I want to just also ask because it relates to what you were just talking about. In your opinion, how can we safeguard humanity in the transition ahead?
Well, that will be key, and I touched on it already. Humans have to be in charge. AI will not have a moral or ethical compass, and it might, fulfill the task we give it with little regard for mankind. So we have to be very, very careful. So apart from all these smaller threats to job markets, privacy, etc., that we already mentioned, you have to be very clear that AI is an existential threat. Yeah, a machine takeover is not just science fiction anymore. It's not Terminator or the Matrix. We are on a very clear trajectory to this. And philosophers call this the AI control problem. Yeah, if we create a super intelligence, an artificial super intelligence, can we actually control it? And this is going to be a very critical topic in the future. It's also several authors in our book call for the prevention of machine consciousness before we don't have governance structures in place. The problem here is that we don't really know what consciousness is right at the moment, but these are things we have to think about now before we actually create a super intelligence. And it's actually quite timely because Christopher Nolan's movie Oppenheimer is in the cinemas. With the Manhattan Project and developments in the nuclear space, the scientists came out and essentially warned the public of the existential risk that nuclear technology poses. Yeah, quite amazing. And now we have the same with artificial intelligence. Yeah, we had Hinton and Bengio, two godfathers of AI developments, leave their jobs and warn the public about the existential risks of AI. And quite frankly, from my point of view, we should take the godfathers of AI as serious as we took the godfathers of nuclear technology. We have to be very clear that this could be enormously beneficial, nuclear power just as AI, and it could be enormously destructive. We have to be very clear about this.
It sounds a little worrying indeed. Let's hope human mankind will be able to use it to the benefits, really. Huh? Mm-hmm. I would like to ask the audience already to put questions for the Q&A in the comment line. But only one more question for you before we dive really and try to open the discussion a little. In your personal opinion, what do you think the future looks like for AI and intelligent decarbonization?
I think AI will be critical for decarbonization, and it will be critical for other areas of the economy as well. It could really improve everyone's life and also improve the state of planet Earth. What is really critical, we have to safeguard humanity from a machine takeover, from being too dependent on electronic means. As I said, we have to talk about governance, we have to talk about best practices, we have to talk about interventions and other safeguards. Yeah, this will be very, very critical. But once we have a good safeguard and good governance in place, I think advanced AI will improve all walks of life. Yeah. And again, coming back, I think the labor market's impact of AI will be the most hurtful ones. I'm not convinced that we can, retrain the complete workforce to that level. So really universal basic income will be a topic in the future. We have to discuss this, like it or not. It's not a nice topic because, people need to live. People have to have meaning in their life. And many people get their meaning in life out of, being a useful member of society. How can we transform that? Yeah. And, we can already see serious impacts of artificial intelligence already. And as I said earlier, for me, we are only in the very, very early stages of AI development. The real stuff is only to come. The real revolution is a few years off, but it will come as certain as death in Texas.
Everybody, please put your questions, your comments in the comment line that you see. One question that I got up front, Oliver. How can we make the energy consumption of AI more sustainable? Especially considering that running everything on an AI could potentially require more energy than any other technology or system currently in use. You addressed it slightly, but it seems to be worrying a lot of people.
Good. AI, apart from a couple of resources, AI has one specific input factor, and that's electricity. Yeah. Once we decarbonize electricity, we also decarbonize AI simultaneously. That's clear. So what we really need is AI to point us towards way how we can decarbonize electricity. In the end, electricity ends up in all products that we own. It's also in the way we get around, etc., etc. So decarbonizing electricity will be key, and AI will help us. And this way, you have another virtuous circle. If we use electricity and AI to show us ways how to decarbonize electricities, we have lots. There's a very interesting study from Google. They use DeepMind to optimize their server cooling, and they could get 1/3 more energy efficiency out of the cooling system. They were so happy with the result that they actually bought DeepMind. Yeah? So it's now Google DeepMind. And these are the ways where I think, okay, AI uses electricity, but if it's simultaneously helping us to decarbonize that electricity, to make it more affordable, then we have won.
Yeah, indeed. There's more questions up. Israel is asking, why do you think there is so much concern about the unanticipated risks of AI when society pays so little attention to the unanticipated risks of decisions and actions taken by humans?
Yes, well, one reason it really got into the spotlight when the scientists came out and really rang a bell. Also, Elon Musk was very critical here with his open letter, pointing out this. But Israel, I know Israel from Cambridge. Israel is absolutely right. We're doing lots of things, and we're not thinking about the consequences. We should do this more. To be honest, I think nuclear threats and AI threats are probably a good point to start, and then take it from there. And think more about the way we consume. From fast fashion to useless flights, etc. That you could actually have done with a train. So we should do that. But still, I think it's a good thing that we are thinking about the existential risk that AI poses.
Another question from Alexis. He's asking, it was mentioned the use case of discharging batteries, depending on weather forecast in Australia in the desert. Also smart grid algorithms. Can you please elaborate on other use cases?
Absolutely. Let's talk about, we have a very good contribution from a company called Adaptricity. What they are doing is an intelligent matching. They use indeed weather forecasts. And they look at areas, for instance, where there are lots of electric cars. They did this for Zurich. The Tesla as a state is simple. So the upmarket quarters in Zurich have a lot of electric cars. And using such an algorithm, they could match storage and withdrawal of electricity better and thereby optimize the grid. Let me think of something else. Siemens, also a contribution to our book. They are using smart algorithms to adjust their wind turbines, and this has brought them in efficiency increments of over 10%. This would be another example. And Alexis, they are, what I'm talking about now. These are small AIs that are delivering benefits. The real power will come when we have a network where the AI that optimizes solar power, the AI that optimizes wind power, and the AI that optimizes storage work together with the grid AI to make it all work. If we have this communication, then we have won a lot.
Yamshed is asking, are there any examples of corporates or companies that have successfully implemented AI solutions to meet their ESG targets? Very interesting question.
Yeah. I can't really comment directly on the ESG targets, but I can comment on improving environmental performance. One of the leaders was the supply chain industry. The big logistics companies, they could optimize the routes, the usage of their lorries and also ships, and thereby they could reduce emissions and costs of their operations quite significantly. Obviously, if you look at the supply chain of, let's say, a DHL or something, you will quickly see that it's too complex for one human being to comprehend. So you have many. Now, if these people are propped up by a good AI that helps them find optimal routes, you can save a lot and thereby improve your environmental performance.
Mm-hmm. A question that links directly to this that was also posed up front. How can we ensure that AI-driven decarbonization strategies align with our overall sustainability and environmental objectives?
Yes, and I think the usual corporate ESG targets are not far-reaching enough. What we are using, and we're working on a paper on this at the moment, is utilizing the UN SDGs as overall metrics. So the Sustainable Development Goals, which is not just about sustainability, it's also about gender equality, etc. I think we have to have very comprehensive metrics. So that because I could think that, for instance, by optimizing emissions from a certain, I could pollute water, etc. So we have to, look at the problem very holistically. And I think the UN SDGs may not be optimal, but they would be first good metrics so that we can make sure that the AI has the command to stay within the boundary of all the SDGs and not just reduce emissions.
Mm-hmm. And another question from the audience, Christoph is asking, seeing emerging AI applications like ChatGPT or Midjourney, what do you expect to be upcoming major business applications of AI?
There are already many, and I'm talking about the technical factors. Without optimization, it helps engineers to optimize. It helps planners to make scenarios. This is definitely an application that is, in the pipeline. We're talking to consultants in the consulting business. Most consultants will ask Bart and ChatGPT before they give an answer. You could think of it as the telephone joker. You see what the AI says before you actually draw up your plan. You would be stupid not to do it, quite frankly. So that's one thing. Then in the next step, meanwhile, you can ask ChatGPT and Bart to write code. You can also ask them to provide you with certain business models, and their pros and cons and their sustainability metrics. You could throw out this as well. This comes, and I think ChatGPT and Bart, they're only the basis. It will take off from there. Yeah. If you have the time and the fun, just ask ChatGPT to write a short blog for you on a topic that is interesting, and you give it the command that it should be an experienced copywriter and should produce 300 words on this and that topic, and it will actually give you quite a nice blog on this topic.
Thank you very much, Oliver. I don't see any further questions from the audience at the moment. I would like to thank you really very much for this, for the talk. It was very informative, I have to say. And
thank you for having me.
I learned a lot about intelligent decarbonization and how AI can support us in our future endeavors. Really insightful, I must say. Thank you so much for being with us today, and all the best for your studies on the topic. And we will all see how it turns out. To everyone who joined today, I'd like to invite you to follow our Expert Powerhouse LinkedIn page and my personal profile for the next live event and fresh insights that are frequently released. There will be many interesting speakers lined up for you, so don't miss out. I'd like to thank you very much for joining us today. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye.